When did you realize you were not the favorite child? Every Christmas morning in our house felt like a lottery ticket that I could never win. My family had this weird tradition where my mom would write all 4 of our names on pieces of paper, fold them up, and drop them in an old coffee mug. Whoever's name got picked would receive the golden gift. Something expensive, personal, or just really special. The rest of us got the usual stuff. Socks with cartoon characters, a book we probably wouldn't read, or those cheap gift sets from the drugstore. When I was little, it seemed fair enough, random chance, right? But by the time I hit 17, I started doing some basic math that made my stomach hurt. 4 kids, 17 years of Christmas mornings. I had never been picked. Not once. I brought it up casually one year while we were cleaning up wrapping paper. Guess I'm just really unlucky with that hat, I laughed, trying to keep it light. My mom looked up from stuffing gift bags into trash bags. Oh, honey, it's completely random. Your turn will come eventually. That year, my little brother Jake got a brand new PlayStation. I got a vanilla candle that smelled like the inside of a department store. I smiled, played along, helped Jake set up his console like the good big sister I was supposed to be, but something was bothering me, and I couldn't shake it. The next few Christmases, I started paying closer attention. The pieces of paper never looked quite the same size. Some were folded differently, and my mom always seemed to fumble around in that mug for longer than necessary, like she was feeling for something specific. Christmas Eve. When I was 19, I waited until everyone went to bed. The house was quiet except for the furnace kicking on and the occasional creak of settling wood. I crept downstairs to where the coffee mug sat on the kitchen counter, already prepared for tomorrow's drawing. My hands were shaking as I reached inside. One piece of paper, just one. I unfolded it slowly, already knowing what I'd find. Jake's name, written in my mom's careful handwriting. I stood there in my pajamas, holding this piece of paper under the dim light from the stove, feeling 17 years of disappointment crash over me all at once. It had never been random. It had never been fair. I was just the kid they forgot to love properly. I went upstairs, grabbed my own paper and pen, and wrote out all 4 names. I folded them exactly the same way, made sure they felt identical. Then I went back downstairs and dumped Jake's name in the trash before putting the real lottery in the mug. Christmas morning, I watched my mom's face as she reached into the mug. For the first time ever, she looked confused. She pulled out a name, looked at it, then glanced back at the mug like something was wrong. Emma, she announced, her voice flat. My siblings cheered. My dad patted my shoulder. Jake looked genuinely happy for me, which somehow made it worse. My mom handed me a small wrapped box with this forced smile that didn't reach her.
Mom, can you please come pick me up? Grandma is being really weird.
What's wrong, Charlotte?
She's been staring at the mirror for the past 30 minutes, and she hasn't blinked once.
Is that so?
Yeah, and oh my god, there's purple stuff oozing out of her ears and nose.
Oh no, not again.
Not again? Mom, what's going on?
There's no time to explain. Charlotte, listen to me closely. Run upstairs to the attic and close the floor behind you.
Mom, you're freaking me out. Can you please tell me what's happening?
Just listen to me, Charlotte. I'm on my way there right now.
Oh my god, I can hear metal clicking against each other, almost like something being sharpened.
Listen to me carefully. Do you see a brown box anywhere?
It's pretty dark up here. Hold on, I see it. What the flip, Mom?
Pick up the gun and make sure the attic floor is locked.
Mom, what's going on with Grandma?
That's not important right now.
Not important? Why don't you tell me?
Charlotte, lock the floor, now.
Okay, I locked it.
Good. Do you have the gun? Charlotte, what's happening?
I hear Grandma again. She's coming upstairs. She's trying to open the floor.
Don't let her in. She could be dangerous.
She's asking me to let her in.
Don't listen to her. You can't trust her right now.
Oh my god, she's pounding on the floor and screaming. She says she's going to kill me. What do I do?
Do you have the gun?
Yes.
Take the safety off. Shoot her if she breaks in.
I can't shoot Grandma.
Only if she breaks in. Also, I know this sounds weird, but if you hear your grandma humming a strange melody, cover your ears.
What? Why?
There's no time to explain. Just do it.
Not unless you tell me why.
Damn it, Charlotte. Okay, I'll tell you. This is going to sound crazy.
You can now check part 2 by pressing share then.
Bro, who the hell casted those VIP in Squid Game Season 3? First of all, the film is an absolute cinema. It is somehow peaked, but those VIP have got to be the worst cast in Squid Game, bro. Because, bro, when the VIP first appearance in the film, I thought that is an ad. Bro, it sounded like an ad was about to play, but no, these people are so AI generated. Like, damn, where does the script are from? Freaking ChatGPT? The worst part is, they are absolutely pisses me off for the whole scene. Like, I saw them and just take a toilet break already. No way that I want to see a scene that VIP talk like an AI. I also somehow find that they're glazing the frontman, bro. Like when the frontman told them the game plan. They will just clap and calling the frontman their lord or something like that. Like, bro, shut the hell up. Did the director write up the script from ChatGPT for only you guys? Yeah, probably need to change up the script before the release, but oh well. Carl out.
Oh, son, can you come home? I bought you a new car.
Don't come home. Dad found your alcohol.
What?
He told me not to tell you. That's why I'm using Snapchat.
What about the new car?
Wake up, bro. You're not getting a car.
But Dad sent me a picture. I saw it in the driveway.
It's a trap to get you to come home.
Then whose car is that?
Dad bought it for you, but he's going to return it to teach you a lesson.
What lesson does that teach?
I don't know. I told him to keep the car, but he's just so mad.
How did he find the alcohol?
He found it under your bed.
Why was he looking under my bed?
I don't know.
Why are you helping me?
Because we're family.
Is Mom making tacos? clothes?
No, she's in your room, looking for more stuff.
Crap, Mom's involved too. What do I do?
Don't come home.
I have to come home. At some point,
The moment you come home, you're getting grounded. For a long, long time.
Dad keeps texting me. What should I say?
I do have one idea.
What is it?
It won't get you out of trouble, but it might save the car.
What's the idea?
Say you don't want the car. Say you want me to have it. Just hear me out. Dad bought you a car, but he's returning it as a way to punish you, right?
Right.
But if you say you don't want the car, then returning the car won't be a punishment
I guess. But why would he believe me?
because you still have one advantage Dad doesn't know, that you know his plan.
Dad doesn't know. I know he found the alcohol.
Exactly.
And since we're using Snapchat, there will never be any proof that you told me.
Tell Dad to give me the car, and I will let you drive it whenever you want.
You got it, sis.
You coming home? Come take her for a spin.
Hey, Dad, I really want to come home, but I can't be around my sister. We just got in a big fight.
What happened?
I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I caught her and her friend drinking alcohol. I told her to stop, but she wouldn't listen, so I took the alcohol and hid it in my room. She yelled at me.
Fathers, what did your daughter's boyfriend do that forever changed how you saw him? As a cop, I hated the idea of my 17-year-old daughter dating anyone. But when she brought home this boy named Pete, I lost it. He had a motorcycle, tattoos, and that smug smile that made me want to run his name through the system. I made it my mission to break them up. I'd randomly show up at places they hung out, flash my badge around, and remind Pete that I knew how to make bodies disappear. But this kid never flinched. He'd just smile and say, "Have a good day, sir." When he came for dinner the first time, I placed my gun on the table next to my plate. My wife kicked me under the table, but I didn't care. Pete just looked at it and said, "Nice Glock 19, sir. My uncle's got the same one at his security firm." That's when the real torture began. I started making him come over every weekend to bond. I'd have him help me with the most back-breaking chores I could think of. Reshingling the roof in July, digging out a tree stump by hand, moving every piece of furniture in the house to steam clean the carpets. This kid never complained. He'd show up at 7 a.m. sharp, already wearing work clothes, even brought his own work gloves. When I'd try to wear him down with endless tasks, he'd just say, "What's next, sir?" One Saturday, I had him helping me rebuild the deck. I was being extra harsh, making him redo boards that were perfectly fine. Around noon, my daughter brought us water. As she walked away, I caught Pete watching her. But it wasn't the way most teenage boys looked at girls. He had this soft smile, like he was watching something precious. I decided to test him. "You know she's way out of your league, right?" He wiped his forehead and said, "Oh, I know, sir. Trust me, I know. That's why I'm here every weekend letting you test me, because she's worth it." I was about to respond when we heard screaming from inside the house. We both ran in to find my wife on the kitchen floor.
So did you find your boyfriend with the other girls?
Nope, I knew you were lying.
I wasn't lying, I saw him. He was letting one of the girls sit on his lap.
Sure, buddy.
Why would I lie?
Because you're lonely and want me to yourself.
Don't get ahead of yourself, I have much better things to do.
Oh, what, like play your piano?
Leave me and my piano out of it. But just be careful with your boyfriend, okay?
You're not my dad, idiot.
Yeah, 'cause I at least know you have a boyfriend. Your dad doesn't even know.
Yeah, and it is going to stay like that. Okay, piano boy.
Whatever.
Well, not to make you jealous or anything, but my boyfriend is coming over. Gotta go.
Okay.
Hey, can we talk?
Depends.
Depends on what?
Depends on what you want to talk about, dumbass.
Well, it's about my boyfriend.
I don't care.
Oh, come on. I thought we were friends.
Haha, we are not friends. We are neighbors.
Okay, point taken. But please, I have nobody else to talk to.
Ugh, fine.
Yay, thanks, piano boy.
I have a name, you know.
Cool. Still gonna call you piano boy.
Alright. So what about your boyfriend?
Well, when we came home yesterday, he smelled like women's perfume.
I tried telling you.
Shut up, I'm not finished. I mentioned it to him, but he said it was just his sister's perfume. She left for her first day at college and he hugged her.
Huh? And you believe him?
Well, I don't know. He just shrugged it off after that.
Sounds weird to me, but what do I know? It's not like I literally told you he was hanging out with other girls or anything.
You're not helping.
So what are you gonna do?
Me and you are going on a mission.
A mission?
Yes, I have his location on, and he is at a park right now.
And you want me to come with you?
Well, duh, I don't want to go alone.
Do you not have anybody else?
No, just come on, it will be fun. Plus, me and you have never actually hung out, you know.
I didn't think you would want to.
Don't be silly. I will admit it has been nice texting you, even though you are so annoying.
Okay, so when do you want to go?
Tonight, I'll text you X. Hey, you ready?
I don't know if I want to go. It's not really any of my business.
Pleasey, I don't want to go by myself. I need a big, strong man to protect me.
Protect you against what?
Well, if I find my boyfriend cheating, I don't know what I would do. But I know I would want you there for me.
Okay, fine, we will go.
Yay, thanks, piano boy. He is at skate park now. I'll meet you outside.
Okay.
Don't worry, it will be really quick. And thank you. I don't know what I would do without you.
It's alright, neighbor.
You can call me Sarah, by the way.
I'll call you neighbor.
Touche. Maybe after we can hang out at mine.
Is your dad not in?
Nope, it's just me.
What about your boyfriend?
Well, if he is with other girls, then he is no longer my boyfriend.
Okay, well, let's go find out first.
Babe, can you tell me why I just found a very old hairbrush in your closet?
Well, babe, every woman has one.
Yeah, but yours is in the bathroom.
Well, I don't know. It's probably overused and crooked.
There is a sticker of 2016, and why is there in Sean Combs' picture on the handle?
Babe, I just remembered. Just please leave it there. I have some unfinished work with it.
Damn, you haven't used it in so long it's full of hairs. But why are they all with different colors? And wait, it smells kind of weird, like a fish.
Babe, it's girls' things you don't know, and I can't tell you.
You can't tell me what? We are together. Is there something you're hiding from me?
No, babe, every girl has had one of these as a youngster. For the lonely nights.
For the lonely what? You were 16 at that time.
Babe, just don't look up into this, please.
I just typed hairbrush on TikTok. No way you were one of them. You're sick.
Cantina, I need to speak with Roastbot.
I found my girl's hairbrush from her teenage years, which she used for the wrong thing. How should I roast her ass?
Just tell her CSI ran a DNA test on it, and they said it was used on everything except hair.
CSI ran a DNA test on it, and they said it was used on everything except hair.
Excuse me? You're sick for saying this.
I just used the roast bot.
I can't believe this is what you are worried about.
My mind can't comprehend how this worked out. Like, were you inspired by the guy on the picture and his oil activities?
Okay. You don't have to act like I have killed someone. You probably did something similar too.
Similar? Ain't no way!
Don't act tough. Your mother told me about your socks in the wardrobe.
Wait, I thought I was the only one knowing.
Don't worry. She said, at least we are both creative.
This wasn't a needed conversation.
I will finish you now, because you really wanted to know at first. That brush was part of a Facebook group.
What?
Hairbrush Girls 2016 DIY Plus Tips.
Very family friendly.
We mailed it to each other.
Why would you?
It's been in 13 states.
I just smelled 13.
The cool thing was that when we did the switch up, you never knew who the other person was.
Mom, I got traumatized.
What happened?
I searched something on TikTok. It was awful.
It can't be that bad. TikTok is a very, very family-friendly place. I learned how to stretch because of TikTok. So what did you search?
No, that's not for you.
Oh, come on. It won't be that bad. If I tell you what kind of things I have seen before. Nothing compared to your little search.
You asked for it. Type cavallos.
Let me see. Oh, my! What is this? I love horses. They are so cute.
Wait, what exactly are you seeing?
Horses having fun.
Cantina, I need to speak with Roastbot.
My mom searched cavallos, which means horses, and she saw them doing the dirty, how should I roast her ass?
Just tell her that the horses weren't the problem, but the fact she didn't close the tab for over 10 minutes.
The horses weren't the problem, but the fact you didn't close the tab for over 10 minutes.
What? How dare you talk to your mother like this?
I just used the roast bot.
Don't tell this to anyone, okay? It's just between us.
I accidentally told my sister about it.
What? You know, she is in a very specific part of her teenage years.
She said she liked it, though.
Yeah, I guessed it right. Just make sure she doesn't do anything weird, okay?
I mean, should I be worried?
Just look after her. This world is full of weird people.
You're so lovely, Mom. I will look after her, don't worry.
This is what I like to hear. Now I'm gonna do some volunteering at the local school, alright?
I have the best mother.
Talk later, sweetie. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Stay away from me. I don't want more problems with your husband, especially after the last time.
Tom, come on. I want you to do me a little favor.
Okay, just one more thing.
Look up Cavallos on TikTok. I want you to do the same thing on me.
Okay, but if it's something weird, I'm blocking you. Let me see. What? You are sick.
We're breaking up. I cheated on you with your brother.
When?
When what?
When did I ask? Honestly, I don't give a damn. By the way, come over and pick up your stuff. Either you take care of it or the street gets a free donation.
Slow down, you little boy. So you're not gonna make a dramatic scene begging me to come back? No begging, no tears, no I can't leave without you speeches?
Who said I can't live without you? You're not oxygen. Thanks, I'm good.
Wow, I can't believe this. I thought you loved me.
Riz app tell me to respond with, I never said I'm perfect, but my heart's real and it's all yours. I never said I'm perfect, but my heart's real and it's all yours.
Wow, you're so smooth.
But everything feels different now. You thought cheating would break me? You were just an error in my system. I fixed the bug.
Why are you so cold? I knew you never loved me.
And I knew I didn't order Yappuccino.
Are you really gonna act like this just because I make a little mistake for cheating?
Leave me alone, I'm playing PlayStation.
Haha, I'm out here cheating with your brother and you're just playing that stupid gaming console alone.
Who said I'm alone?
Is that my sister? I knew I can't trust her.
Who are you talking about?
That bitch right there playing with you.
Which one?
Is that my best friend?
Yeah, we're doing a little mistake. Remember?
To see what people really thought of me, and it destroyed my entire family. It started with an accident that should have been minor. I was 15 and biking home from school when a car sideswiped me at an intersection. I woke up in the hospital with a concussion, 2 fractured ribs, and partial hearing loss. The doctor said the hearing would come back. It did. 2 weeks later, I could hear again. Soft at first, then clear. But nobody knew that. My mom was crying by my bedside when I realized it. She was talking to my aunt, whispering that maybe this would finally teach me humility. humility, that I'd always been too sensitive, too dramatic. I laid there pretending not to hear. She said maybe it was for the best I got knocked down a peg. That's when the idea started. I told the doctors I still couldn't hear. I kept faking it during tests, watching their mouths, reacting only to vibrations. Lip reading came naturally, faster than I expected. By the time I left the hospital, I was profoundly deaf in both ears. At first, it was peaceful. No one expected conversation. People spoke around me like I wasn't there. My classmates stopped trying. Teachers either pitied me or gave up. My parents smiled in public, praised me for being strong, but behind closed doors, they treated me like a burden. But the real story started 6 months later, when my older brother Ryan came home from college for Thanksgiving. I used to think we were close. He was the golden boy, valedictorian, football captain, pre-law. I was the weird art kid who painted in the garage. I was sitting on the stairs while he unpacked in the living room. My mom sat beside him and said, "It's honestly harder now, with her like this." She didn't even whisper. She's moody, distant, and the school says she's not even trying anymore. Ryan nodded. She was always a bit off. Maybe it's not the hearing. Maybe it's just her. That night, I cried so hard I almost blew the whole act, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned in harder, stopped reacting to doorbells, wrote notes instead of speaking, memorized how my friends' lips moved so I could track every conversation. I told people I didn't want a cochlear implant, that I was embracing deaf culture. They praised me, and they forgot I was there. My best friend, Mel, told our other friend Hannah that hanging out with me felt like babysitting now. Said it was exhausting being my translator in public. Called me an attention leech. My math teacher said in the break room he was glad I'd shut up for once. Another teacher laughed and said maybe I was faking it for sympathy. They had no idea I was just around the corner, waiting for my interpreter. But nothing compared to what I heard from my dad. It was my birthday. I was turning 16. No party, just a cake after dinner. I was sitting on the back porch when I heard him say, "I don't know if she's going to make it, Anne. She's not normal. She doesn't laugh anymore, doesn't try. Sometimes I wish." He didn't finish. Mom replied, "Maybe we send her to that residential program. You know, the one for disabled teens. Might be better for everyone." I knew what they meant. They were tired of me, so I made a plan. I started recording things. First with an old phone hidden in my jacket, then a smartwatch I saved up for and bought used. I had hours of footage. Teachers, friends, family, all saying things they'd never say if they knew I could hear. I kept up the act through senior year. Prom came and went. No date, no invites. I pretended not to care, but I watched from the stairs as Ryan told my mom he was glad I wasn't going. Said it would have ruined the vibe. And Emma, my cousin Emma, who used to braid my hair at sleepovers, told her mom she didn't want to room with the sad deaf girl at the family reunion. I started to believe them, that maybe I was a burden, that maybe I deserved their pity, until something changed. My art teacher, Mr. Carlton, stopped me after class one day, wrote a note that said, "You draw like you're screaming." I smiled politely, ready to walk away. Then he leaned in and said, "But I don't think you're as silent as you pretend to be." My heart stopped. He handed me a book on body language and another on American Sign Language linguistics. If you're hiding something, make sure it's worth it. That night, I went through every recording I had, every insult, every betrayal, every little piece of their real thoughts, and I cried. Not because they'd said those things, but because I'd let it change me. Graduation came, I walked the stage, silent, still deaf, still pretending, but I had one more act. My parents threw me a party. Small, mostly family. I sat quietly while they told everyone how proud they were, how I'd persevered. My mom even teared up giving a toast. That's when I stood up. I clinked my glass with a fork. Everyone turned. "I can hear you," I said, out loud, clearly. Aunt Joan dropped her plate.
What was your hold it moment where you knew you would win? I hated group projects more than anything in college. Every single time, I'd end up doing all the work while everyone else just showed up for the grade. So when Professor Williams assigned our final ethics project worth 30% of our grade, I swore things would be different this time. The professor randomly put me with 3 students I barely knew, Alex, Jordan, and Sam. I was actually excited because maybe working with strangers would mean they'd actually care about their grades. Boy, was I wrong. I made a group chat the same day and sent detailed messages about meeting times, dividing up the work, and setting deadlines. Radio silence. I tried again the next day. Nothing. I even walked up to Alex after class and asked if he got my messages. He just shrugged and said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out later." 2 weeks passed. The 20-page research paper was due in 10 days, and nobody had written a single word. I kept sending messages, trying to set up meetings, offering to do video calls. They left me on red every single time. I had a choice. I could let our whole group fail, or I could do what I always did. So I spent the next week pulling all-nighters, researching corporate ethics scandals, writing analysis after analysis, adding proper citations and references. 23 pages of solid work. I was exhausted but proud. When I submitted it online, I only put my name on it, not theirs, just mine. The very next morning, the day before our presentation, my phone started buzzing like crazy. Alex was calling me over and over. When I finally picked up, he sounded panicked. "Hey Maya, we're all ready to present now. Just make sure you add our names back to the title slide before class, okay?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Add your names back? You guys didn't help write anything? Come on, don't be like that. We're a team. Just put us on there." I hung up. 20 minutes later, Sam was knocking on my dorm room door, acting all friendly like we were best friends. "Maya, hey, we just want to make sure everything's good for tomorrow. We can all present different sections." "What sections did you write?" I asked. "Well, we didn't technically write them, but we can present them. That's basically the same thing, right?" I told her no and closed the door. That's when things got ugly. They emailed Professor Williams that same night, claiming I had excluded them maliciously from the project and refused to collaborate. They said I was trying to take all the credit for work they had done. They even said I deleted their contributions from the shared document. Professor Williams replied to all of us the next morning. He said there would be a hearing after class where each person would be graded individually based on what they could prove they contributed. When I walked into the classroom for our presentation, my 3 group members were already there with printed papers and fake concerned expressions. They had actually printed out what looked like rough drafts with their names on them. During the hearing, they went first. Alex claimed he had written the entire introduction and that I had deleted it and rewritten it in my own words. Jordan said he had researched all the case studies, but I had stolen his work. Sam said she had done the conclusion, but I had cut her out completely. They showed Professor Williams.
Hey babe, does any of these names sound familiar to you? Jamal, Duke, Devontae, Hakeem, Jabari.
No. Why do you ask?
Well, I know you're lying to me, so how about you just confess?
I'm not lying. Those are just some random names. I don't know what you want me to say.
Oh, okay. Then maybe you know a video called 5 Black Dudes versus 1 Snow Bunny Goes Terribly Wrong.
No, I don't know anything about that too.
Oh, how about a video called Pizza Delivery Guy Delivers a Pizza with Extra Sausage to a Hot Lonely Girl? Maybe this one is familiar?
Nope, first time hearing this.
RizApp told me to respond with, "Tell me the truth and I will forgive you."
Okay, I'm sorry, babe. I was just feeling a little lonely.
So you created an only
I just wanted some attention. You never care about me.
Well, you definitely got attention. 34 million views.
You said you would forgive me, babe.
How am I supposed to forgive you after your kitty was ran through by like 12 guys in a week?
But I did it for us, babe.
For us. There is no us anymore.
Babe, I made so much money from this. I can buy anything you want.
I don't care.
I'll buy you a Star Wars Millennium Falcon Lego set.
I forgive you.
Prove they contributed. When I walked into the classroom for our presentation, my 3 group members were already there with printed papers and fake concerned expressions. They had actually printed out what looked like rough drafts with their names on them. During the hearing, they went first. Alex claimed he had written the entire introduction, and that I had deleted it and rewritten it in my own words. Jordan said he had researched all the case studies, but I had stolen his work. Sam said she had done the conclusion, but I had cut her out completely. They showed Professor Williams their printed drafts, and acted like they were the victims of some terrible injustice. They even teared up a little bit, talking about how unfair it was that their hard work was being stolen. Professor Williams looked confused and a little upset. He turned to me and asked what I had to say for myself. That's when I said it. Hold it. I reached into my backpack and pulled out a thick folder I had prepared. I handed it to Professor Williams and watched his eyebrows go up as he started reading. First, I showed him screenshots of every message I had sent to the group chat, dozens of them over 3 weeks, all unanswered. Timestamps showing I had messaged them at different times of day, even late at night, trying to coordinate. Then I showed him the edit history from Google Docs. Every single change was made by my account. Every paragraph, every citation, every edit, all me. The document showed that I was the only person who had ever opened the file. But that wasn't the best part. I pulled out my phone and showed Professor Williams a screen recording I had made. My best friend has been using pictures of me to catfish her long-distance boyfriend of 5 years. My best friend Maggie. 5 years ago, Maggie spent spring break a couple states away and matched with a guy on Tinder. When she came back to campus, she immediately told me all about him. She bragged about how amazing he was and how they'd only gone out to dinner once, but they were already talking 24/7. I got super excited for her since her dating life had been basically non-existent for ages. I asked to see a picture of him, and that was the only time I ever saw what he looked like. Over the past 5 years, he's been her entire world. She talks about him constantly, always has her nose buried in her phone, and gets ridiculously clingy when he takes too long to text back. There hasn't been a single day where I haven't heard about this guy. Since he sends presents and flowers on Valentine's Day, I figured they were practically dating. So I asked her why they never met up again, and she said they were both too busy and broke to make a trip. I suggested letting him stay with us, but she always refused. So I didn't bring it up often because at the end of the day, it wasn't my business. That was until yesterday. Maggie had picked up a shift at work, so I was home alone all day. I was planning to just relax when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, but when I opened it, there was a guy standing there who I'd never seen before. He gasped and looked incredibly happy. He said hi, and I said hi back, but I was obviously very confused. He looked jittery and nervous at first. Then, out of nowhere, he barged in and scooped me up into a huge hug. I just froze, having no idea how to react. He told me, "I thought you were working? I was hoping your roommate would be here so I could surprise you when you got back." I still had no clue who this guy was, so I begged to be put down. I backed away from him and told him I didn't know who he was. He laughed and said, "Come on, Maggie, it's me." I quickly let him know I wasn't Maggie, and I didn't understand why he would think that since we looked nothing alike. It took a minute for both our brains to process what was happening. He asked me, "If you're not Maggie, who are you?" "I'm Summer, Maggie's roommate," I replied. Then something clicked, and I asked if he was Adam. He gave me a very slow yes, like he was confused out of his mind as well. But then something in him snapped, and he yelled out, "Holy fuck!" He proceeded to tell me that for the past 5 years, he thought he'd been talking to me. Every single picture he'd ever seen of Maggie had actually been pictures of me. My best friend has been using pictures of me to catfish her long-distance boyfriend of 5 years. My best friend Maggie and I are roommates, and we moved in together 2 years ago. About 5 years ago, Maggie spent spring break a couple states away and matched with a guy on Tinder. When she came back to campus, she immediately told me all about him. She bragged about how amazing he was and how they'd only gone out to dinner once, but they were already talking 24/7. I got super excited for her since her dating life had been basically non-existent for ages. I asked to see a picture of him, and that was the only time I ever saw what he looked like. Over the past 5 years, he's been her entire world. She talks about him constantly, always has her nose buried in her phone, and gets ridiculously clingy when he takes too long to text back. There hasn't been a single day where I haven't heard about this guy. Since he sends presents and flowers on Valentine's Day, I figured they were practically dating. So I asked her why they never met up again, and she said they were both too busy and broke to make the trip. I suggested letting him stay with us, but she always refused. I didn't bring it up often because at the end of the day, it wasn't my business. That was until yesterday. Maggie had picked up a shift at work, so I was home alone all day. I was planning to just relax when I heard a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, but when I opened it, there was a guy standing there who I'd never seen before. He gasped and looked incredibly happy. He said hi, and I said hi back, but I was obviously very confused. He looked jittery and nervous at first. Then, out of nowhere, he barged in and scooped me up into a huge hug. I just froze, having no idea how to react. He told me, "I thought you were working? I was hoping your roommate would be here so I could surprise you when you got back." I still had no clue who this guy was, so I begged to be put down. I backed away from him and told him I didn't know who he was. He laughed and said, "Come on, Maggie, it's me." I quickly let him know I wasn't Maggie, and I didn't understand why he would think that since we looked nothing alike. It took a minute for both our brains to process what was happening. He asked me, "If you're not Maggie, who are you?" "I'm Summer, Maggie's roommate," I replied. Then something clicked, and I asked if he was Adam. He gave me a very slow yes, like he was confused out of his mind as well. well. But then something in him snapped and he yelled out, "Holy fuck!" He proceeded to tell me that for the past 5 years, he thought he'd been talking to me. Every single picture he'd ever seen of Maggie had actually been pictures of me. I was completely dumbfounded, and we didn't know what to say to each other at first. So he pulled out his phone and showed me proof. He had tons of pictures of me saved on his phone. He then went to their messages and showed me that she'd been sending them to him. I felt, and still feel, completely sick to my stomach. I got out my phone and showed him real pictures of Maggie. I suggested maybe they could just talk when she got off work. He was really pissed at this point. I said maybe we should call her first and let her know he was here. So I did that, and she started flipping out, saying she wasn't coming home, telling him to leave, and that she wouldn't talk to him. He called her and started yelling at her over the phone. After everyone calmed down slightly, she eventually came home. He was hurt and accusing, she was crying, and I was sitting there awkwardly watching this whole thing go down. She told him that she was still the same person he'd had feelings for, and he screamed at her, "No, I thought I was in love with your roommate." That completely made her break down. So I told him maybe he should leave for the night and everyone should have their own space. He agreed, and after he left, she went completely psychotic on me and started throwing everything around the living room. She told me she hated me. I started crying. It was an absolute mess. I left to stay with a friend and haven't been back, so I don't know what's happened since. I feel like I have no idea who the person I'm living with is, and I feel weirdly violated. Do I move out? Do I try to call her? She hasn't even texted me. I ended up having a phone call with Adam, mostly because I wanted to know about the pictures she'd sent. Turns out she'd sent pics of me in my underwear, plus naked pictures that weren't actually of me or her. We're assuming she got those from Google. He feels really bad and is actually having a hard time processing all of this. I assured him I don't blame him at all for the underwear pics or anything like that. He told me that they'd actually FaceTimed, but she would never show her face, only the top of her head and hair, which is dyed a similar color to mine. Never thought anything of this before, but now I think it might be really weird. Her excuse was that she felt like she looked bad on video, was self-conscious, didn't have makeup on, etc. He said he didn't think it was weird at the time. He also told me he tried tons of times to arrange visits to meet, and she came up with excuses every single time. He said he'd been mostly content to talk through text and phone calls up until this point. He's going to try reaching out to her one more time to talk about everything, but he's moving on. As for me, I'm not sure I can break my lease yet, but I'm going ahead and moving out to stay with a friend until it's over. We briefly talked when I went back to the apartment, and she sort of half apologized, but is still pretty hostile and defensive, so I'm giving her space. I feel bad for her, but I don't think our friendship is going to survive this whole—
A little boy rushes home from school. He invades the fridge and is scooping out some cherry vanilla ice cream when his mother enters the kitchen. She says, "Put that away, son. You can't have ice cream now. It's too close to supper time. Go outside and play." The little boy whimpers and says, "There's no one to play with." Trying to placate him, she says, "Okay, I'll play with you. What do you want to play?" He says, "I want to play Mommy and Daddy." Trying not to register surprise and to further appease him, she says, "Fine, I'll play. What do I do?" He says, "You go up to the bedroom and lie down." Figuring that she can easily control the situation, she goes upstairs. The little boy, feeling a bit cocky, swaggers down the hall and opens the utility closet. He dons his father's old fishing hat. As he starts up the stairs, he notices a cigarette butt in the ashtray on the end table. He picks it up and slips it in the corner of his mouth. At the top of the stairs, he moves to the bedroom doorway. His mother raises up and says, "What do I do now?" In a gruff manner, the little boy says, "Get your ass downstairs and get that kid some ice cream."
A man on his deathbed talks to his wife, but the problem is he asks, "I have a nagging question I'd love to have an answer to before I go. Will you answer truthfully?" The man's wife answers, "Of course, anything you want, my love." So the man asks, "Have you ever kept secrets from me that you thought would change the way I look at you?" The wife replies, "My love, we've all had moments we're not proud of, but nothing changed my love for you." The man nods and goes back to sleep. A few hours later, he wakes up again and asks, "Be honest, was there ever a moment in our marriage when you regretted being with me?" The wife replies, "My love, every marriage has its ups and downs, but regretting being with you, never." The man nods in approval and goes to sleep. A few hours later, he wakes up after a very weird dream and asks his wife, "Tell me, how many other men have you slept with in your life?" The wife replies, "I only slept with 8 men in my life." Shocked, the man says, "Is that including me? So it's 7 and I'm the 8th, right?" His wife takes a deep breath and replies, No, you're actually the 4th.
Yesterday, I accidentally entered my parents' bedroom exactly when they were making love. They both screamed after noticing me, and my dad furiously yelled, "Get out of here!" I said, "Dad, I just came to remind you that I want a new watch tomorrow. You promised me." He furiously grabbed his $10,000 Rolex and threw it to me and said, "Take this watch and get out of here." The next day in class, I show the watch to my friend David. David becomes extremely jealous of my new watch, so he decides to try this incredible idea on his parents. He slowly sneaks into his parents' bedroom but finds that they are not making love that night and are sleeping peacefully. He becomes disappointed and decides to do something about it. The next day, he asks his mother, "Mommy, did you fight with Daddy?" She replies, "No, honey. Why are you asking this question?" I heard Daddy talking on his phone saying, "I feel so lonely because my wife doesn't love me anymore." After hearing this, his mother becomes worried and decides to make love with him that night. David's plan works, and he sneaks into their bedroom exactly when they are making love. His father furiously asks David, "What do you want?" He replies, "Daddy, I want to watch." He furiously says, "Fine, stand in the corner and watch, but keep quiet."
Allison, are you at home?
Just got back. What's up?
Is your mother with you?
Yeah, we're just watching TV.
Do not say anything to her. Tell me exactly what she's doing.
She's just staring at the TV.
Is she bleeding?
Ew, yeah, her nose is bleeding a little. Oh gosh, her ear is bleeding too. Is she okay?
Allison, do exactly what I say. Go upstairs to my office.
Why?
Just do it. Open the top drawer in my desk.
WTF, Dad?
Pick up the gun and lock the door.
What the hell is going on? Is something wrong with Mom?
I don't know yet, but you need to stay in the office until I get home. I'll be there soon.
Why is Mom bleeding?
That's not important right now. Did you lock the door?
Not important? Why don't you tell me?
Allison, lock the door. Now!
Okay, I locked it.
Good. Do you have the gun? Allison, what's happening?
I hear Mom. She's coming upstairs. She's trying to open the door.
Don't let her in. She could be dangerous.
She's asking me to let her in.
Don't listen to her. You can't trust her right now.
OMG! She's pounding on the door and screaming. She says she's going to kill me. What do I do?
Do you have the gun?
Yes.
Take the safety off. Shoot her if she breaks in.
I can't shoot Mom.
Only if she...
I went to my friend's house, but the problem is he had a few girls over. The girls were extremely gorgeous, and it was hard to ignore them. We sat down for dinner, but it looked like the girls really hated me. After dinner, we played some basketball together, but again, the girls seemed to not like me, as they never passed the ball to me. As the game was about to end, my friend slipped and broke his leg. He screamed in pain, and I immediately drove him to the hospital. On the way there, he would not stop complaining about how painful it is, and after 30 very painful minutes, we finally arrived at the hospital. After he was taken care of at the hospital, I drove him back home, and he said to me, "Thanks for everything, bro. I just need one more favor. Could you please get my slippers from upstairs? My feet are freezing." So I went upstairs and found 2 of the girls lying naked on the bed. I told them, "Your friend sent me up here to have sex with both of you." Confused, they said, "There's no way he said that. You're lying." So I shouted downstairs, "Hey, bro, both of them?" And he shouted back, "Of course both of them. What's the point in f***ing one?" A lawyer drives home, but the problem is he runs a stop sign and gets pulled over by a police officer. The officer approaches the lawyer's car and says, "License and registration, please." The lawyer, thinking he can avoid getting a ticket, says, "What for? I haven't done anything." The officer replies, "Sir, you didn't come to a complete stop at the stop sign. I'm gonna need to get your license and registration." The lawyer says, "Well, I slowed down and no one was coming. Come on, man, can't you let me off with a warning?" Annoyed, the officer says, "Sir, you still didn't come to a complete stop. License and registration, please." The lawyer says, "I don't understand. What's the difference?" Angry, the officer replies, "The difference is you have to come to a complete stop. License and registration, please." The lawyer thinks for a moment and then says, "You know what? If you can show me the difference between slow down and stop, I'll give you my license and registration." The officer agrees and says, "Okay, exit your vehicle and I'll show you." So the lawyer exits his vehicle and the officer takes out his nightstick and proceeds to beat the living out of him and says, "Do you want me to stop or to slow down?" I worked as a cop, but the problem is it was close to midnight. I patrolled near a spot that's well known for making love. Suddenly, I saw a couple sitting in a car. I noticed that the car was shaking, and there were weird movements inside. I was suspicious, and I carefully approached the car to get a closer look. Inside the car, I saw a young man reading a magazine, and next to him was a young woman knitting a sweater. I walked over to the driver's window and said, "Good evening, sir. May I ask what you are doing here at such a late hour?" The young man replied, "Well, officer, I'm reading a magazine." So I pointed at the young woman and said, "What about her? What is she doing?" The young man replied, "I believe she's knitting a pullover sweater, officer." I was really confused, so I said, "Let me get this straight. You two are here alone, sitting in a car in the middle of the night at the lover's spot, and nothing is happening. How is that possible?" The young man replied, "To be honest, officer, I am waiting." I was even more confused, so I asked him, "You're waiting here, in the lover's spot? For who?" The young man thought for a minute and replied, "Well, officer, I am waiting for her. She turns 18 in about 10 minutes. A professor travels to Africa to live with a tribe, but the problem is, after years of living happily with them, the tribe leader's wife gives birth to a white child. The word spreads quick, and eventually the entire tribe found out what happened. They were in total shock. The tribe leader is furious. In fact, he's so furious that he immediately goes to the professor's house, storms in and says, "Look, you are the only white man we've ever seen around here, and my wife gave birth to a white child. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened." The professor replies, "No, sir, you're mistaken. What we have here is a natural occurrence, what we in the civilized world call an albino. Look at that field over there. All the sheep are white except for one black one. Nature does this on occasion." The tribe leader says, "What black sheep? Where did you see a black sheep?" The professor points at the sheep and says, "Over there, see that black sheep?" The tribe leader is silent for a while, and then he says, "Tell you what, you don't say anything more about that sheep, and I won't say anything more about the white kid." An Irish daughter had not been home for 5 years. Upon her return, her father cursed her heavily. "Where have you been all this time, child? Why didn't you call? Can you not understand what you put your old mom through?" The girl crying replies, "Dad, I became a prostitute." Dad asks, "You became what? Get out of here, you shameless sinner. You're a disgrace to this family." Daughter says, "Okay, Dad, as you wish. I only came back to give my mom this luxurious fur coat, title deed to a 10-bedroom mansion, plus a $5 million savings account. And for you, Daddy, the sparkling new Mercedes limited edition convertible that's parked outside, plus a membership to the country club, and an invitation for you all to spend New Year's Eve on board my new yacht in the Riviera." Dad takes a deep breath and asks, "What was it you said you had become?" Girl crying says, "A prostitute, Daddy." Dad replies, "Oh, my goodness. You scared me hauled to death, girl. I thought you said a Protestant. Come here and give your old dad a hug." 3 guys are drinking in a bar, but the problem is, a drunk man enters the bar. He goes to the counter, points at the guy in the middle and shouts, "Your mom's the best in town." The guy in the middle is angry. Everyone expects a fight, but he doesn't respond, so the drunk guy goes away. 10 minutes later, he comes back and shouts, "I just did your mom, and it was sweet." The guy in the middle is extremely angry now. He almost reacts, but his friends stop him, saying, "It's not worth it, bro. Just let him say whatever he wants." The drunk guy goes away once again. A few minutes later, the drunk guy comes back again and shouts, "I have to admit she liked it." But once again, the guy in the middle doesn't react. So the drunk man gets closer to the guy in the middle and whispers, "Psst, your mom asked for my number. I think she wants a repeat performance." The guy in the middle still doesn't react, so the drunk man leaves. But after 10 minutes, the drunk man came back and said, "Hey, you gotta admit, your mom's got good taste." Frustrated from the drunk man, the guy in the middle stands up, faces the drunk man and says, "Dad, go home already, you're fucking drunk." My ex-wife was driving our daughter to her friend's house, but the problem is, she asked, "Mommy, what is your age?" To which she replied, "Sweetheart, you should never ask a woman her age." Then my daughter asks, "No problem, just tell me how much you weigh." On hearing this, my ex-wife replied, "Honey, you should never ask a woman her weight either." So my daughter thought something, and then she asked, "All right, just answer one last question. Why did Daddy leave you?" "Okay, that's enough questions for today," my wife replied. On hearing this, my daughter got confused. And later at her friend's house, she asked her friend, "I asked my mommy 3 simple questions, but she wouldn't tell me anything." On hearing this, her friend thought something and replied, "Don't worry, I know exactly what to do. Just find your mom's driver's license. It's most probably in her purse. It will have all the info about her." So later that night, my daughter sneaked into her mommy's purse and took her driver's license, and after 10 minutes, she came downstairs and said to her, "Mommy, Mommy, I know your age." To which she asked, "Oh, really? Then tell me how old I am." "You are 42, she replied. On hearing this, my ex-wife was shocked, and she asked her, "How do you know that?" "I also know that your weight is 140 pounds, said my daughter. Absolutely shocked, Mom asked her, "And what else do you know about me, huh?" "I know why Daddy left you," she said. To which my ex-wife replied, "Oh, really? Please tell me then." To which my daughter looked at her mommy from top to bottom, smiled, and replied, "Mommy, I looked at your driver's license, and it says you got an F in sex." A woman tells her husband, "Remember those headaches I've been having all these years? They're gone." The husband asks, "No more headaches? What happened?" His wife replies, "Well, my mom referred me to an expert. He told me to stand in front of a mirror, stare at myself, and repeat 3 times, 'I do not have a headache,' and it worked." His wife then says, "You know, you haven't been exactly a fireball in the bedroom these last few years. Why don't you go see the expert and see if he can do anything for that?" The husband agrees and goes to the expert. After his appointment, the husband comes home, rips off his clothes, picks up his wife, and carries her into the bedroom. He puts her on the bed and says, "Don't move, my love. I'll be right back." He goes into the bathroom and comes back a few minutes later and jumps into bed and makes love to his wife like never before. Again, the husband says, "Don't move. I'll be right back." He goes back into the bathroom, comes back, and round 2 was even better than the first time. Once again, the husband says, "Don't move. I'll be right back." This time, the wife quietly follows him to the bathroom, where she hears him say, "She's not my wife. She's not my wife." Came home, but the problem is, I saw my wife with a mysterious person in the bedroom. The bedroom was locked, so I shouted, "Honey, who's in there with you? Are you cheating on me?" She replied, "No, honey, I would never. It's just my friend here. I'm showing her something. Leave the house and return in 30 minutes, okay?" I knew something was up, but I agreed and left the house for 30 minutes. And once I came back, she approached me and said, "Honey, I'm so sorry. It was just my friend Susie. I needed some advice from her." I forgave her, and the next day, I decided to do the same thing to her. her. So I brought a friend of mine to the house and locked the bedroom. Once she knocked on the door, I said, "Honey, not now. Could you please come back in 30 minutes?" She looked furious, but she left and came back after 30 minutes. Once she got back, she approached me and said, "Honey, I have to ask you something, and I want you to be fully honest with me. Have you ever cheated on me?" I took a deep breath and said, "Well, I did cheat, but only once." My wife replied, "I cheated on you too, honey." I excitedly shouted, "April 1st!" She replied, "February 3rd!"
I asked my mom if I can take a bath with her when I was younger because I was scared to be alone. And she was like, "Sure, but just don't look up." And I agree. But sure enough, while we were taking the bath, I looked up and I said, "Whoa, what are those?" And she was like, "Those are just headlights." And then I looked down and I said, "Whoa, what is that?" She was like, "Artie, that's just a bush." Then the next day my mom wasn't home, but I was scared to be alone, so I asked my dad if I could take a shower with him instead. My dad was like, "Okay, Artie, but just don't look up." And sure enough, when we got in there, I looked up and I said, "Whoa, what is that?" He was like, "Artie, I told you not to look up, but that's just a snake." Then later on that night, I was trying to fall asleep, but I got scared. So I walked up to my parents' room and I knocked on the door. And then I asked my parents, I was like, "Can I please sleep with you guys? I'm scared." And they were like, "Yeah, you can. Just make sure you don't look under the covers." I was so scared, I was like, okay, I promise I won't." And then I jumped in the bed with them. Sure enough, like 10 to 15 minutes pass. And I'm starting to get really bored, so I look under the covers and I'm in complete shock. I start screaming. I'm like, Ma, turn on the headlight. The snake is in the bush." I repeat, "The snake is in the bush."
The owner of a brothel saw a man in a suit standing there. "May I help you?" she asked. "I want to see the lady named Mia," said the man. "Sir, Mia is one of our most expensive ladies. Perhaps you would prefer someone else?" "No, I want Mia." Just then, Mia walked out and said to the man, "I charge $10,000 a visit." Without hesitation, the man pulled out $10,000, gave it to Mia, and they both went upstairs. After an hour, the man calmly left. The next night, the man appeared again, demanding to see Mia. Surprised, since no one had ever returned 2 nights in a row, said to him, "There is no discount. The price is still $10,000. Again, the man pulled out the money, gave it to Mia, and they went upstairs. The following night, the man was there again. He again paid, and they went upstairs. After their session, Mia questioned the man. "No one has ever been with me 3 nights in a row. Where are you from?" she asked. The man replied, "The Gold Coast." "Really?" she said. "I have family there." "I know," said the man. "Your father died and I am your sister's attorney. She asked me to give you your $30,000 inheritance."
I found out what my 8-year-old son was saving up for, and it destroyed me. When I was 16 years old, I was stupid. I didn't wear protection, and I got a girl pregnant. I was shocked. I never expected to have a kid that early. I didn't know if I regretted it or not. Almost all of my regrets washed away when my son was born. For privacy purposes, we will call him Rory. I am 24 now, and my son is almost 8. He is the smartest and most loving kid I could ever ask for. His mom left when he was around 2. When I tried to sue for child support, the judge sided with her, stating that I was the father and needed to step up. Ever since then, it has been me and Rory against the world. I've been a single dad to Rory since then. I've had a few girlfriends, but nothing serious. I left my parents' place and got a small apartment. I dropped out of high school, which I still immensely regret. But hey, life happens. During this time, my neighbors helped me raise my son. They were an older couple next door whose kids had moved out long before, so they were fine with babysitting him after school and during late shifts. I'm a manager at McDonald's. I make lousy money, but it is enough to get by. Then, 2 years ago, our terrible building manager raised the rent for everyone. I had to work even harder to find a place to live during a pandemic. My parents had left the state, and I wasn't ready to uproot my kid's entire life just because his dad couldn't provide for him. Every birthday since before he was 3, I took Rory to Golden Corral. Usually it was on his birthday, but there were other occasions when we went. It was really good for him, and he really enjoyed it. I hadn't been able to take him for the past 2 years due to money being very tight. Sometimes I get tipped at McDonald's. A quarter here, a dime here, a dollar here and there. I'll always bring it to him every day and give it to Rory to save. Well, 2 days ago, Rory brought me his money jug and dumped it all out in front of me. He was so excited and began counting it out. There was around $40 there, and he jumped up excitedly. I asked him what was up, little buddy. Let me tell you, my heart broke at that moment. My son asked me if it was enough to go to Golden Corral for his birthday in a month. A piece of me shattered inside. I didn't think he remembered Golden Corral. I told him we could go to the bank tomorrow and exchange it for cash. That night I ugly cried in my bedroom. I felt like a failure because I couldn't give him everything he's ever wanted. I've begun researching furthering my education. Yesterday, as soon as the bank opened, I took my son and we exchanged the money for cash. I then drove us to Golden Corral, despite it not being his birthday just yet. We were there for 2 hours. We got the all-you-can-eat buffet, and it was 2 for $30. My kid was so happy, and I was stupid because I just assumed he forgot about this place. Today, I cried again in my room. I've never been good at saving my money, but his birthday is next month, and I'm going to do my best to take him every few months. My girlfriend's best friend thought I was a gold digger, not knowing I was worth millions. I've been dating Layla for 3 months when she wanted me to meet her best friend at this Italian place downtown. My palms were sweating because Layla meant everything to me, and her best friend's approval was huge for her. Just warning you, she said. Josephine can be really protective. My ex pretended he was struggling with money but was actually bleeding me dry. Now she thinks every guy is gonna do the same thing. Little did either of them know I owned the restaurant we were dining at. I even had 7 across the country. But I'd learned money changes how people see you, so I kept my mouth shut and dressed casually. Josephine arrived late, and the way she looked me up and down made it clear she'd already formed her opinion. She wore this designer dress that probably cost more than most people's rent, and her smile was the kind that didn't reach her eyes. After the initial introductions and awkward hug with Layla, we all sat down, and the waiter handed us the menus. But before I could open mine, Josephine reached over to help me with it, turning the pages like I couldn't manage it myself. I had to hold back my laugh knowing I approved everything on the list. When the waiter came back, she ordered for me before I could speak, telling him to make sure my pasta wasn't too spicy, because this one has a sensitive stomach. She grabbed my hand for a handshake and announced it felt like a dead fish, then looked me in the eye and asked if I ever carried Layla's shopping bags, or if I was the type who let women do all the heavy lifting. Throughout dinner, she kept pointing at me directly, commenting on how I held my water glass with both hands like a child, how I dabbed my mouth instead of wiping it like a man, and asked if Layla felt safe walking alone with me at night since I clearly couldn't protect anyone. Josephine then leaned forward and stared directly at me, saying this was probably the nicest place I'd ever eaten, that before Layla, I was probably surviving on dollar menu items and ramen. The irony killed me since I ate here 3 times a week at my own chef's table. She pointed at my clothes and said Layla must have bought me my one decent shirt, the one I obviously couldn't even be bothered to wear tonight. You literally wouldn't be sitting here without her, she said, pointing her fork at me. You probably think Olive Garden is fancy dining. Tell me, when's the last time you paid for anything yourself? Things got worse when she started comparing me to every successful man she knew, listing their achievements while staring at me with pity. She talked about her brother who'd just made partner at 30, her ex who owned 3 companies, and Layla's other options who were waiting in the wings. She showed Layla dating profiles of doctors and lawyers who'd messaged her, suggesting they do a girls' night soon to explore possibilities. When Layla tried to change the subject, Josephine grabbed her hand and said loudly enough for me to hear, "You're trauma bonding with someone beneath you because Brad hurt you. This isn't love, it's self-destruction." "Josephine, please," Layla said, but got ignored again as Josephine attacked my upbringing. She shook her head at me with fake pity, saying my mother had failed to teach me how to be a provider, probably coddled me into thinking other women would baby me forever. My stomach churned when she asked if I still lived with mommy, if that explained why I couldn't function as an adult. She said properly raised men would be embarrassed to let women pay, but here I sat planning which bill to make Layla cover next. I bit down hard on my tongue, tasting metal. Layla finally escaped to the bathroom, and Josephine moved even closer, calculating on her phone how much I'd cost Layla over a lifetime. She shoved the screen in my face, her voice dripping with disgust as she called me a leech who would drain Layla dry. Then the waiter approached, looking nervous, and whispered something in my ear about a problem in the kitchen. Without thinking, I responded, "Tell Aiden to use the backup vendor list in my office, and make sure he knows not to accept anything below our usual standard." As the waiter turned to leave, he asked, "Will you be visiting the new location tomorrow, sir?" I said I'd be there after lunch. Josephine's hands started trembling. "Your office? New location?" The pieces clicked together in her mind as she stared at me in horror. Layla returned to find Josephine's face bright red, her hands shaking as she knocked over her wine glass. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought," she stammered, unable to finish a sentence. She frantically tried to explain she was just protecting Layla. "I made such a fool of myself," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. She begged me not to ban her from my restaurants. Actually begged. As we left, I finally spoke to her directly. "My mother did teach me well. She said real men don't need to announce their worth." She nodded, too mortified to speak.
Flight attendant mocked me for being poor, not knowing I outranked every pilot on the plane. After captaining planes between Asia and Chicago for 3 days straight, I boarded one of my own airline's flights to finally get home. I'd stuffed my captain's uniform in my bag and thrown on ratty jeans and a stained t-shirt, because sitting in economy for 5 hours in full uniform sounded like torture. The second I stepped aboard, the senior flight attendant Veronica sized me up, clearly deciding I was going to be her problem passenger for the next 5 hours. She stood right in front of the overhead bin, using that fake nice voice flight attendants use when they hate you. Premium passengers are still boarding. Economy waits. When I tried to explain I just needed to stow my bag quickly, she put her hand up in my face and pointed toward the back. I found my middle seat and collapsed into it. 20 minutes into the flight, I raised my hand for water and she walked by, leaned down and whispered, "You'll get service when I decide you deserve it." She served every single passenger around me, even went back for refills, while making sure I saw every pore. When she dropped some napkins near my row, I leaned down to help pick them up. She stepped on my hand with her heel and ground it down before kicking the napkins away from me. The businessman next to me looked away while I pulled my hand back, red marks forming on my fingers. An hour in, she finally came back and poured water for the row behind me, deliberately tipping the pitcher so drops splashed on my head. She smirked and moved on without giving me any. During meal service, she announced loudly that some passengers didn't deserve food service while looking right at me. She served everyone else, then came back and dropped the vegetarian lasagna from shoulder height. It exploded across my lap and shirt, sauce everywhere, and she just shrugged before walking away. When I pulled out my tablet to review approach plates, she snatched it from my hands and showed it to Rebecca. They both laughed at my aviation apps before she tossed it back, hitting me in the chest. She made sure other passengers heard her call me a wannabe pilot living in fantasies. She noticed my aviation watch and grabbed my wrist, twisting it to show other passengers while calling it fake. She told them I probably bought it online to impress women at bars by pretending to be a pilot. Her grip left marks on my wrist. The personal attacks got vicious. She sprayed air freshener directly at me, told nearby passengers I smelled like failure, and suggested I was unemployed and possibly on substances. When I shifted uncomfortably, she made gagging sounds and moved passengers away from my row. I stood up to stretch and she shoved me hard back into the seat. Some people just don't belong in aviation. She pressed her knee into my shoulder to keep me down while telling Rebecca about delusional people who couldn't accept their place in life. The worst came when she saw my pilot wings pin. She ripped it off my bag and held it up like evidence to show the whole cabin. She bent the pin in half and threw it at my face, the bent metal catching my cheek and drawing blood. She leaned in close, her breath hot on my ear. "You're nothing. You'll always be nothing." She straightened up and announced to the cabin that security would be meeting our flight because of the unstable passenger in 32B who had delusions about being a pilot. Then the plane shook violently. The engine screamed wrong and we started dropping fast. Oxygen masks fell while Veronica stumbled, her perfect composure finally cracking. I heard the coded announcement that meant pilot incapacitation and jumped up. She grabbed my shirt and screamed, "Sit down! You're going to kill us all with your delusions." I pulled out my airline ID and captain's license from my flight bag. Her face went from rage to pure horror as she saw the credentials showing 15,000 hours on this exact plane and the gold stripes of a senior training captain. The same hands she'd stepped on were licensed to fly this aircraft. Her whole body started shaking as she stumbled backward while I pushed past her toward the cockpit. I took control of the plane and brought us down safely while Veronica sobbed hysterically over the speaker, trying to explain to passengers that the woman she'd called delusional and worthless was the only reason they were alive. After landing, she collapsed at the gate as airline executives met us and announced my promotion to chief training captain, overseeing all crew standards. When her termination paperwork hit my desk 2 weeks later with a barely readable apology letter begging for another chance, I signed it without hesitation. She'd crossed every line of human decency. She never flew again, and I heard she couldn't even look at planes without remembering the captain she'd tried to destroy.
How did your first child behave after you'd had your second baby? My 5-year-old daughter Mia started stealing food from our kitchen every single day after we brought home baby Lucas, and what I discovered still gives me chills. At first, I thought she was just acting out. Kids do weird things when they're jealous of a new sibling, right? But then I found her hiding crackers, juice boxes, and baby formula under her bed. Not just a few snacks. We're talking grocery bags full of food stashed everywhere. Under her mattress, in her toy chest, even taped inside her dollhouse. "Mia, honey, why are you taking all this food to your room?" She looked at me with those big innocent eyes and said, "It's not for me, mommy. It's for the other baby." I was confused. "What other baby, sweetie? You mean Lucas?" "No, the one in the walls. He's really hungry and he cries at night when everyone's sleeping, but only I can hear him because I'm a good big sister. He told me his name is Danny." My husband and I figured it was just an imaginary friend phase. New babies are overwhelming for kids, and sometimes they create fantasy scenarios to cope. But then our grocery bill literally doubled. Mia was somehow getting into everything, even stuff we kept locked up or on impossibly high shelves. I started finding empty formula cans, missing baby food jars, and she'd even figured out how to open the child-proof locks on our cabinets. The really creepy part was how methodical she was about it. She'd take specific amounts of food at specific times, like she was following some kind of feeding schedule, and she always knew exactly what to take. Formula, baby cereal, soft crackers, juice boxes, nothing random. The breaking point came when I caught her at 6 a.m. dragging a kitchen chair to reach the top cabinet where we kept the emergency formula stash. She was only 5 years old, but she was mixing bottles perfectly, measuring the powder and testing the temperature like she'd done it 100 times before. "Mia, this is serious now. Show me exactly where this other baby is." Without hesitation, she grabbed my hand and led me to her bedroom closet. She pushed aside her hanging clothes and pointed directly at the back wall. "He lives right there, mommy, behind the wall. He gets so scared when it's dark, and his tummy hurts when he's hungry. I have to help him because nobody else knows he's there. Sometimes I hear him crying really loud, but when I ask Daddy, he says he doesn't hear anything." That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The wall was warm to the touch, noticeably warmer than the rest of the room. And when I pressed my ear against it, I could swear I heard a faint sound, like muffled crying or scratching. It was rhythmic, like someone tapping. I called my husband immediately, and we contacted contractors that same day. When they opened up the wall, they found a hidden space between the studs that had been deliberately concealed. Inside was a makeshift nursery, a small crib with decades-old blankets, empty baby bottles, moldy diapers, and children's toys covered in dust. There were also fresh crackers scattered around and an empty juice box that looked recent. The contractors were baffled. This wasn't standard construction. Someone had intentionally built a secret room behind a false wall. We called the previous homeowners, and after some pressing, the elderly woman broke down crying over the phone. She admitted that in 1987, her daughter had suffered from severe postpartum psychosis after losing a baby to SIDS. The daughter had become convinced the baby was still alive and needed to be hidden from dangerous people who wanted to take him away. For months, the daughter would sneak food and supplies into this hidden room, talking to empty air and changing invisible diapers. The family had her committed and sealed up the room after getting her psychiatric help, but they never told anyone about it when they sold the house 15 years later. The crying sound stopped completely after we cleared out the hidden space and had it properly sealed. But even now, 6 months later, Mia still occasionally leaves crackers on her windowsill, just in case Danny comes back and gets hungry.
What's the most extreme thing you've done to avoid becoming like your family? In my family, every daughter was required to get her father's full name tattooed across her forehead on her 18th birthday to prove she belonged to him until marriage. I'm not talking about some small discreet lettering. I'm talking about 3-inch bold letters stretching from temple to temple. Gerald McKellen. That was my father's name, and it was branded across the foreheads of my 3 older sisters like they were cattle. My father was a respected circuit court judge in our town. Everyone knew Judge McKellen. They also knew his daughters, the ones with his name scarred across their faces. He'd make them bow their heads at church, at courthouse events, even at the grocery store. Show them who you belong to, he'd command, and they would, every single time. The tradition went back 4 generations. My great-great-grandmother started it, believing that marking daughters prevented them from straying before marriage. The men they married would later pay to have it lasered off, if they were wealthy enough. If not, well, my Aunt Celia still wears Robert McKellen 23 years after her wedding. My oldest sister Bethany tried to hide it once with makeup. Dad scrubbed her face with steel wool until she bled. My middle sister Rachel grew bangs. Dad cut them off in her sleep. My youngest sister Marie, she just stopped leaving the house entirely. 2 weeks before my 18th birthday, Dad scheduled my appointment. He'd already paid his friend Marcus at the tattoo parlor, even showed me the stencil. Gerald McKellen, in thick bold letters. "You'll thank me when no man tries to steal you," he said, running his finger across my forehead. "Everyone will know you're mine until I give you away." I spent those 2 weeks watching my sisters, really watching them. Bethany hadn't dated in 5 years. Rachel worked from home because 3 jobs had rejected her after the interview. Marie lived in our basement, surviving on Dad's money, too broken to try anymore. At family dinners, Dad would make them recite why they were grateful for his mark. "It keeps us safe," they'd mumble. "It shows we're loved," they'd lie. "It's tradition," they'd whisper, dead-eyed and defeated. The night before my appointment, something in me snapped. I looked in the mirror and saw my future. Another McKellen woman branded like livestock, bowing my head on command, grateful for my cage. That's when I decided, if I was going to be marked, it would be on my terms. I shaved my head completely bald at 2 a.m. Then I drove 2 hours to a tattoo shop where nobody knew the McKellen name. The artist tried to talk me out of it. I showed him photos of my sisters. He stopped arguing. Owned by nobody. That's what I had inked across my skull in letters just as bold as the ones Dad had planned. It took 3 hours. I live streamed the entire thing on Instagram. Tagged every family member. Tagged Dad's courthouse. Tagged our church. By sunrise, I had 17 missed calls from Dad and over 1,000 shares. But I wasn't done. I posted a slideshow. 4 generations of McKellen women with his name on their faces. My caption? This ends with me. Dad lost his mind. Within hours, he'd filed an emergency court order claiming I was mentally incompetent. Said I'd been brainwashed by radical feminists. He hired a deprogrammer, an actual deprogrammer, to fix me. Sent the police to do a wellness check. When that failed, he got creative. My sisters were forced to testify that I'd always been troubled. Church elders held prayer interventions on my lawn. Dad froze my college fund, canceled my health insurance, reported my car stolen. He sued me for defamation, claiming I'd ruined his reputation and career. That's when everything exploded. Marcus, the tattoo artist Dad had used for 15 years, he came forward. Turns out he'd been documenting every forehead he'd inked. Disgusted, but too afraid of Judge McKellen to speak up. 12 foreheads, 4 generations, all minors when marked. The State Bar Association launched an investigation. Child Services got involved. Local news picked it up. Judge forces daughters into facial branding. The trial was a circus. Marcus testified with photos. Former McKellen wives testified about paying for removals. My sister sat silent, but their foreheads spoke volumes. Dad lost his judgeship, lost his reputation, lost his power. The practice was officially classified as child abuse. 2 other families in our county were investigated for similar traditions, but I lost 2. My entire family turned their backs. My sisters wouldn't speak to me. I destroyed the only world they knew. Extended family called me a traitor. I received death threats from traditionalists. Had to move 3 states away, change my number, start over completely alone. It's been 2 years now. I still keep my head shaved. The tattoo has become my armor, my declaration. Sometimes I catch people staring and I don't bow my head. I lift it higher. My sisters still wear his name. They'll die wearing it, but it dies with them. I made sure of that. Some prices are worth paying. Some traditions need to be destroyed. And sometimes the only way to break free is to burn it all down. I still get messages from young McKellen cousins asking how I did it. I tell them all the same thing. The cost is everything. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is bowing your head forever, pretending gratitude for your own erasure. My name is Delilah McKellen. My forehead says owned by nobody, and I mean it.
What's the most insane test your parents put your partner through? My mother required that any woman I dated had to live in our house for 30 days as an unpaid servant to prove she was worthy of marrying into our family. Full maid uniform, scrubbing floors at 4 a.m., hand-washing her underwear, all graded on a 47-page manual of daily tasks. My mother came from old Charleston money. She believed suffering revealed character. My father survived his own trial decades ago. 30 days of manual labor on her family's estate. Now he sat silent at dinner, eyes vacant, while Mom orchestrated her tests. I'd seen this ritual destroy 3 women already. Dimitri's girlfriend fled after 8 days. Evander's lasted the full month, but vanished immediately. Lucian's girlfriend Camille completed the trial 4 years ago. She still serves Mom tea every Sunday with dead eyes. When I brought Ophelia home after 2 years together, I prayed for mercy. She was a cardiac surgeon at Children's Hospital, the woman who'd saved dozens of tiny hearts. Mom studied her like a specimen, then handed over the uniform. Navy blue, starched apron. The manual came next, its weight somehow heavier than medical textbooks. The rules were brutal. Wake at 4 a.m., bake bread from scratch, coffee at exactly 162 degrees, floors mopped twice daily, windows cleaned until they squeaked, Mom's feet massaged nightly. No phones, no outside contact, no leaving the property. 3 strikes meant banishment forever. Ophelia's first strike came day 1. The bread was too dense. Strike 2 on day 3. Coffee at 161 degrees. One mistake from losing me forever, and Mom's smile said she was counting on it. I watched my girlfriend transform. This woman who performed miracles now spent hours on her knees, scrubbing baseboards while Mom followed with white gloves. Her surgeon's hands cracked and bled from lye soap. Purple shadows bloomed under her eyes. She'd lost 8 pounds by day 10. The 3 a.m. bell became torture. Mom would ring it, demanding chamomile tea steeped exactly 3 minutes. I'd hear Ophelia stumble downstairs, moving like the undead. Day 12, I found her in the laundry room at midnight, hand-washing Mom's silk underwear. Tears streamed down her face. She didn't even notice me watching. That's when I saw it. The same hollow expression Camille wore. Day 15 changed everything. Mom made Ophelia redo the kitchen floor 3 times, claiming water spots. 6 hours on hands and knees. When she finally stood, she swayed. Her hands left bloody prints on the white marble. That night, I executed my plan. While Mom slept and Ophelia cleaned bathrooms, I loaded her things into my car. The apartment across town had been ready for weeks. The ring hidden in my pocket for months. I found her scrubbing grout with a toothbrush, humming tunelessly. When I told her we were leaving, she just stared. I had to guide her to the car. She didn't speak during the drive, didn't react to our new apartment. But when I locked the door behind us, our door, she collapsed. 20 minutes of body-shaking sobs. Then I knelt on our empty floor and proposed. Mom's revenge came within hours. Phone calls, threats, private investigator, then escalation. Mom appearing at the hospital, telling administrators Ophelia was a drug addict who'd stolen from us. Calls to Ophelia's parents claiming their daughter was a prostitute. The harassment intensified. Dead roses delivered to the OR slashed tires. Mom stationed outside with signs reading homewrecker and thief. She hired lawyers, filed lawsuits, convinced relatives Ophelia had bewitched me. Then we discovered our weapon. Ophelia's father was District Attorney Dominic Castellano, and he was very interested in Mom's detailed documentation of her 30-day trials, forced unpaid labor, coercion through relationship threats. 20 years of meticulous records became evidence. The manual became Exhibit A. Mom's world imploded during trial. Camille testified first, filing for divorce simultaneously. Other survivors followed. Local news ran with it. Society matriarch enslaved sons' girlfriends. Mom got 200 hours community service at the women's shelter, scrubbing floors, serving meals. The judge called it educational. My brothers scattered. Dimitri to Seattle, Evander to London. Lucian stayed but hasn't spoken to Mom since Camille left. The Blackwood name became poison in Charleston society. Ophelia still can't drink chamomile tea, flinches at bells. Her hands healed, but scars went deeper. We married at City Hall with just her parents and my youngest brother. Mom wasn't invited. That was 3 years ago. I lost my inheritance, lost most of my family. The guilt sits heavy. She's still my mother, alone in that mansion with her manual and ghosts. But then I remember Ophelia on that kitchen floor, blood on marble, spirit breaking. I remember Camille's empty eyes. I remember that love isn't supposed to require suffering. My name is Dorian Blackwood. I shattered 4 generations of tradition. Some things need to shatter. Some mothers need to learn that breaking someone doesn't reveal their character. It reveals yours. The woman I loved survived 15 days of hell. The price was everything I'd known, but at least she's free. At least they're all free. My stepfather erased every trace of my real dad.
dad, so I erased his entire future. When I was 8 years old, my dad died in a car accident. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. He was the town hero, the firefighter who saved 6 kids from a burning school bus. The whole town mourned him and named a park after him. But Mom barely got through it and looked miserable. So when she met Frank 2 years later, some insurance salesman with a fake smile, I tried to be happy for her. Turns out Frank wasn't here to help. He was here to replace. He moved in after 6 months, started changing everything, packed Dad's firefighter gear into boxes, shoved them in the attic without asking, took down Dad's commendation photo, swapped it for some generic landscape, changed the answering machine from Dad's voice to his own. One afternoon, I came home from school and saw Frank loading boxes into his truck, Dad's turnout coat, his helmet, newspaper clippings, photo albums with pages torn out. I ran inside asking Mom what was happening. Frank said, "We're moving forward. Time to stop living in the past." That was the first time I wanted to punch him. I grabbed what I could, hid it in my closet. From that day on, I barely spoke to him. He tried to force the father role, told me to call him Dad. I refused. Every time I said his name, it tasted like ash. Fast forward 15 years, Frank's trying to get on the school board, practicing speeches about family values. I was 25 and hadn't forgotten. The breaking point came when I stopped by to visit Mom, found Frank in my old room going through boxes I'd stored there. He had Dad's last project in his hands, this wooden puzzle box Dad had been making for my future kids, his wedding ring hidden inside with videos and letters. Frank was prying it apart with a screwdriver, pieces splintered, carefully carved wood cracking under his hands. I tried to grab it, but he pulled away, said Mom wanted an office. He was clearing junk. Then he found the USB, deleted every video file right in front of me, highlighted them one by one, hit delete while staring me dead in the eye. "I'm your father now." My chest burned watching Dad's face disappear from the screen. That's when I knew what to do. Started visiting more, bringing Frank whiskey, acting defeated like maybe he was right all along. I kept my phone recording in my pocket and learned exactly how to position it. Every time he drank, he'd run his mouth about Dad. The week before Mom's 60th birthday party, I got what I needed. Frank was 3 drinks deep. I mentioned the memorial run coming up. His words came out slurred, angry. "Your dad wasn't special, just lucky. Those kids would have gotten out anyway. Your mother still cries over him. It's pathetic. 17 years hung up on a ghost who wasn't even that great. I've been trying to erase him for her own good, for your own good. Once I get rid of all his junk, she'll finally see I'm the better man." I waited patiently for the big day to arrive. The whole backyard was decorated with lights, tables full of food, every aunt and uncle and cousin there, Mom's church friends, Dad's old firefighter buddies. Frank was in his element, shaking hands, playing perfect husband, touching Mom's shoulder like marking territory. When it came time for toasts, Frank clinked his beer bottle, waited for everyone to quiet down, started his speech about second chances and family values and the school board. He raised his glass high and asked me to start the music. I pulled out my phone, connected to the Bluetooth speaker, and pressed play. Frank's drunk voice boomed across the yard. "Your dad wasn't special, just lucky." His face went white. He dropped his beer, foam splashing everywhere. "Turn it off," he hissed, but I stepped back and held the phone high. The firefighters stood up with their faces dark. Frank lunged at me, but I sidestepped while his voice kept playing. "Your mother still cries over him. It's pathetic." Mom's hand covered her mouth. Frank tried explaining, yelling over his own recorded voice, but nobody listened anymore. He ran for the speaker, but cousin Mike blocked him. Frank spun around, searching for support, finding only turned backs. His voice continued until finally ending with, "I'm the better man." The yard went silent, except for Mom's sobbing. Firefighters left first. Family followed until Frank stood alone under party streamers. That night, Mom kicked him out. Frank kept insisting he was protecting the family, that I'd set him up, that everyone was overreacting. The school board withdrew his invitation. He moved 2 towns over, still posts about family values, still claims he was victimized. Last month, Mom and I visited Dad's park with the new bench showing his photo and those 6 kids' names. Frank wanted to erase my father so badly, he erased himself instead.
What was the cruelest tradition in your family? In my family, we were required to forget one family member completely every 5 years, erasing them from photos and never speaking their name again, because Mom said it kept us from getting emotionally bloated. My mother treated relationships like expired food that needed to be thrown out before they